You know that moment when your entire world shatters in front of 68 people and nobody lifts a finger to help you. When the people who are supposed to protect you become the ones who destroy you. Well, that's exactly what happened to me at my brother's promotion party. But here's the thing they didn't know. I had been preparing for this moment for 2 years. And with one phone call, I was about to turn their perfect little world into absolute chaos. My name doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what they did to me that night, and what I did to them, in return. Because sometimes, the only way to stop monsters is to become something they fear even more. If you've ever felt completely powerless against people who were supposed to love you, hit that subscribe button right now and comment where you're watching from. Because this story is going to show you exactly what real justice looks like. It was supposed to be a celebration. My brother Jake had just gotten promoted to senior partner at his law firm, and my parents decided to throw this massive party at our family estate. 68 guests, all dressed in their finest clothes, champagne flowing, everyone pretending to be this perfect, successful family. But you see, my family wasn't perfect. We were rotten to the core, and I was the only one who knew just how deep that rot went. I walked into that party wearing a simple black dress, nothing flashy. I had learned years ago not to draw attention to myself and my family. Attention meant scrutiny, and scrutiny meant pain. But that night, I couldn't stay invisible, not anymore. My father, Robert Chen, was holding court near the marble fireplace, telling some story about his latest business acquisition to a group of impressed guests. My mother, Linda, was playing the perfect hostess, her smile so practiced it looked painted on. And my brother Jake was soaking up all the praise, completely oblivious to the fact that everything our family had was built on the suffering of innocent people. You see, for the past 2 years, I had been living a double life. On the surface, I was Sarah Chen, the quiet daughter of a successful businessman who ran several youth rehabilitation centers across 3 states. But underneath, I had been gathering evidence of something so horrific, so completely evil, that even now it makes my hands shake to think about it. Our family's youth rehabilitation centers weren't helping kids. They were destroying them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about the moment everything exploded. Before I continue, make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next is going to blow your mind, and drop a comment telling me which state you're watching from. Trust me, you're going to want to share this story. I had been at the party for about an hour, nursing a glass of wine and watching my family play their parts perfectly, when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. One of the guests, a man named David Morrison, who I recognized as a city councilman, was showing my father photos on his phone, and from where I stood, I could see exactly what those photos were. Pictures of girls, young girls, the same girls I had been secretly documenting for months. My heart started pounding, but I forced myself to stay calm. I casually walked closer, pretending to admire a painting on the wall, and that's when I heard my father say the words that changed everything. The Chen Foundation has helped over 200 at-risk youth find new paths in life. These girls you're looking at, they came to us broken, addicted, lost. Now look at them, productive, grateful, completely transformed. But I knew the truth. Those girls weren't transformed, they were trapped. I couldn't stay silent anymore. Every fiber of my being was screaming at me to speak up, to expose what I knew, to save those girls. So I did something incredibly stupid and incredibly brave. I walked right up to my father and said, loud enough for several people to hear, "Dad, we need to talk about the real conditions at those facilities." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. My father's eyes went dark, that familiar look I had seen so many times growing up. The look that meant someone was about to get hurt. "Sarah," he said quietly, his voice carrying that dangerous edge I knew so well. "This isn't the time or place." But I couldn't stop. 2 years of gathering evidence, 2 years of seeing what my family was really doing to vulnerable kids, 2 years of living with this horrible secret. It all came pouring out. "When is the time, Dad? When you're getting another award for your philanthropy? When you're expanding to more states? When more kids disappear into your system and never come out the same?" The guests around us had gone completely silent. I could feel dozens of eyes on us. But I didn't care anymore. I was done being complicit in their crimes. That's when my father did something that shocked everyone in that room. He slapped me, hard, across the face, in front of 68 witnesses. The sound echoed through the entire ballroom. Someone gasped. A wine glass shattered on the marble floor. But nobody moved to help me. I stumbled backward, my cheek burning, tears streaming down my face. But my father wasn't done. He grabbed a fistful of my hair and started dragging me toward the exit, in front of everyone, like I was some kind of animal. "You will not embarrass this family," he hissed in my ear as he pulled me across the floor. "You will not destroy everything we've built." My scalp felt like it was on fire. I was struggling to keep my feet under me, trying to grab onto anything to stop him from dragging me. And you know what the worst part was? My brother started clapping. Slow, deliberate claps as my father hauled me across the ballroom floor by my hair. "She had it coming," Jake said to the stunned crowd. "Sarah's always been the problem child in this family. Always causing drama. Always making wild accusations." The guests just stood there. 68 people watched my father physically assault me and drag me out like garbage, and not one of them said a word. Not one of them tried to help me, but they didn't know what I knew. They didn't know about the flash drive hidden in my car. They didn't know about the evidence I had been collecting for 2 years. And they definitely didn't know about the one person who had promised to help me when the time came. My father dragged me into the hallway, behind the kitchen, away from the guests. That's where his mask completely came off. "What do you know?" he demanded, slamming me against the wall. His hands were around my throat, cutting off my air. "What have you been doing, you little bitch?" I couldn't breathe. The hallway was spinning. But I managed to choke out, "Nothing. I don't know anything." "Liar." He slammed me against the wall again. "You think I'm stupid? You think I haven't noticed you asking questions? Going places you shouldn't go? What did you find?" That's when a waiter came around the corner carrying a tray of glasses. He took one look at my father choking me and shouted, "Hey, let her go." My father immediately released me and straightened his tie, switching back to his charming public persona. "Just a family disagreement," he said smoothly. "Nothing to worry about." But the waiter wasn't buying it. He helped me to my feet and walked with me until I got to the parking lot. That waiter probably saved my life that night, and I never even got his name. I stumbled to my car, my whole body shaking. My throat was raw. My scalp was bleeding where he had grabbed my hair, and my face was already starting to swell from the slap. But you know what? I was smiling, because it was time to make that phone call. 2 years earlier, I had saved a little girl's life. Her name was Emma, and she was 8 years old when I found her being dragged toward a van by 2 men outside a grocery store. I didn't think, I just acted. I grabbed a shopping cart and rammed it into one of the guys, then started screaming for help until they ran off. Emma's father turned out to be Detective Marcus Rivera, a cybercrime investigator with the FBI. When he found out what I had done for his daughter, he looked me straight in the eyes and said, "If you ever need anything, and I mean anything, you send me one message. I don't care what time it is. I don't care where I am. You saved my little girl's life. I owe you everything." He gave me an encrypted communication app and a single code phrase, "Activate Protocol Blackbird." For 2 years, I never used it. But sitting in my car that night, blood on my face and my family's crimes weighing on my soul, I knew it was time. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and typed, "Activate Protocol Blackbird." They attacked me, evidence attached. Then I uploaded every single file I had collected over the past 2 years. Bank records, photographs, video recordings, victim testimonies, location data, everything. My phone rang 30 seconds later. "Sarah, this is Marcus Rivera. Are you safe?" "No," I whispered. "I'm not safe, and neither are dozens of kids trapped in my family's facilities." "Where are you right now?" I told him. "Stay in your car. Lock the doors. Federal agents will be there in 15 minutes to escort you to a secure location." "Sarah, what you just sent me, this is going to bring down your entire family." For the first time in 2 years, I felt something I had almost forgotten how to feel. Hope. Make sure you're subscribed, because what I'm about to reveal is going to make you sick to your stomach. Let me tell you what my family was really doing. What I discovered over 2 years of careful investigation. What the evidence I sent to Detective Rivera proved beyond any doubt. The Chen Foundation wasn't helping troubled youth, it was trafficking them. My father would identify runaway teens, kids aging out of foster care, young people with no families to look for them. Then my sister Jessica would approach them with promises of help, food, shelter, job training, a chance to turn their lives around. These kids would be taken to what looked like legitimate rehabilitation centers. Clean facilities, professional staff, all the right paperwork. But once they were inside, everything changed. Their identification documents would be processed, which really meant stolen and sold. The kids would be told there had been complications with their paperwork, that they needed to stay longer than expected. And then, the real horror would begin. They were forced to work 16-hour days in various businesses my father controlled. Cleaning services, restaurant kitchens, textile factories. They were told they were earning their keep and learning valuable skills. In reality, they were slave labor. My Uncle David handled discipline. And by discipline, I mean torture. Kids who complained, who tried to escape, who asked too many questions, would disappear into the basement levels of the facilities. Some came back broken and compliant. Others never came back at all. My mother managed the financial side. She was the one who set up the shell companies, who laundered the money, who made sure all the paperwork looked legitimate to outside inspectors. She was also the one who coached the kids on what to say if anyone asked questions. And my brother Jake? He provided legal protection. Whenever families tried to find missing kids, whenever former victims tried to speak out, whenever investigators got too close, Jake would handle it. Threats, lawsuits, intimidation, whatever it took to keep people quiet. For 12 years, my family had been running this operation. Dozens of facilities across 3 states, hundreds of victims, millions of dollars in profits. And I had been living in the same house as these monsters my entire life. The federal building where Detective Rivera brought me looked like something out of a movie. Gray, concrete, bulletproof glass, agents with serious faces walking around with files and laptops. But this wasn't a movie, this was real, and I was about to help bring down one of the largest human trafficking operations the FBI had seen in years. For the next 4 hours, I sat in a conference room and told them everything. Every detail I could remember, every piece of evidence I had collected, every horrible thing I had discovered about my own family. Agent Sarah Kim, the lead investigator, kept having to take breaks to compose herself as I described what I had seen. Detective Rivera sat next to me the entire time, occasionally squeezing my shoulder when the memories became too painful to share. "Sarah," Agent Kim said finally, "what you've given us isn't just evidence of trafficking. This is a full-scale criminal enterprise. Money laundering, identity theft, labor trafficking, possible homicides. We're looking at dozens of federal charges." "How many kids?" I asked. She consulted her notes. "Based on what you've shown us, we estimate at least 200 victims over the past 12 years. Currently, we believe there are 43 young people being held at various Chen Foundation facilities. 43 kids, right now, being held against their will, being forced to work, being hurt, and my family was responsible for all of it." "What happens now?" I asked. Detective Rivera leaned forward. "Now we move fast. We're going to execute simultaneous raids on all known Chen Foundation properties. We're going to freeze all associated bank accounts, and we're going to arrest everyone involved in this operation, including my family, especially your family." At 6 a.m. the next morning, while my family was probably just waking up and wondering where I had disappeared to, federal agents kicked down doors across 3 states. The main raid happened at our family estate, where my parents were hosting a breakfast for some of the promotion party guests who had stayed overnight. Imagine their surprise when 20 federal agents in tactical gear came through the front door with search warrants and arrest warrants. My mother tried to run. She actually grabbed a suitcase full of cash from my father's safe and attempted to escape through the back garden. Agent Kim tackled her herself, right next to the rose bushes my mother was so proud of. My father tried to play the respected businessman card. "This is outrageous," he told the agents. "I'm going to call my lawyer. Do you know who I am? I have connections in this city." Agent Kim looked him straight in the eye and said, "Robert Chen, you're under arrest for human trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit kidnapping. You have the right to remain silent." My brother Jake was arrested at his law office. Apparently, He was in the middle of a meeting with clients when the feds walked in. His secretary said he went completely white and started stammering about how there must be some mistake. But the most satisfying arrest? My Uncle David. Remember him? The one who handled discipline? The one who hurt those kids when they stepped out of line? The one who choked me in that hallway? He resisted arrest, actually fought with the federal agents, throwing punches and screaming about how they had no right to touch him. It took 4 agents to get him in handcuffs, and let's just say they weren't gentle about it. Meanwhile, raids were happening at 5 different Chen Foundation facilities. 41 kids were rescued that day. 41 young people who woke up as prisoners and went to sleep as survivors. The media picked up the story within hours. The waiter from the party had recorded video of my father slapping me and dragging me out by my hair, and he released it to every news outlet he could find. The hashtag number Chen Foundation Crimes started trending worldwide. But that wasn't even the best part. 3 weeks after the arrests, my Uncle David requested a meeting with me. He was being held in federal detention, facing life in prison, but he claimed he had information about international trafficking contacts that he would only share if I agreed to see him. The FBI wanted those contacts to save more victims, so I agreed to the meeting. Walking into that federal detention center was surreal. The same uncle who had terrorized me my entire childhood, who had hurt countless innocent kids, who had choked me in that hallway. Now he was sitting across from me in an orange jumpsuit, shackled to a metal table. He looked older, smaller somehow. Prison had not been kind to him. "Sarah," he said when I sat down, "you have no idea what you've done." "I know exactly what I've done," I replied. "I stopped you from hurting any more kids." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think this is over? You think you've won? There are people involved in this operation that you can't even imagine. People with real power, and now they know your name." I leaned forward and looked him straight in the eyes. "Let them come. The FBI knows about me. The media knows about me. The whole world knows about me. If anything happens to me, everyone will know exactly who's responsible." "You destroyed your own family," he said. "Your own blood. How does that feel?" You know what I told him? "It feels like justice. You stopped being my family the day you decided those kids weren't human beings. You stopped being my family the day you chose money over morality. You stopped being my family the day you put your hands on me and tried to silence me." He stared at me for a long moment. Then, he gave me those international contacts, probably hoping for some kind of plea deal that would never come. I stood up to leave, and he called after me. "You'll never be safe, Sarah. People like us, people with connections, with resources, we don't just disappear." I turned back one last time. "You're right. People like you don't disappear. You get locked in cages where you belong." I walked out of that detention center and never looked back. Hit that subscribe button if you want to hear how this story ends. And comment where you're watching from, because the final chapter is going to restore your faith in justice. The trials took 2 years. 2 long years of testimony, evidence presentation, and reliving every horrible detail of what my family had done. But it was worth it. My Uncle David, life in prison without the possibility of parole. My father, 35 years in federal prison. My mother, 28 years. My brother Jake, 25 years for his role in covering up the crimes. Every single person involved in the Chen Foundation trafficking operation was convicted, 14 people total, all serving significant prison time. The federal government seized everything: the mansion, the cars, the businesses, the bank accounts. All of it was liquidated and the money was distributed to victims and survivor support organizations. The Chen Foundation was permanently shut down, and new legislation was passed requiring more stringent oversight of youth rehabilitation facilities nationwide. But the best part? Those 41 kids who were rescued are now free. Really free. They're getting real help, real support, real opportunities to heal and build the lives they deserve. Some of them have reached out to me over the years. Emma, who was 16 when she was rescued, just graduated from college with a degree in social work. Marcus, who was 14 when he was taken, is now studying law and says he wants to help other trafficking survivors get justice. As for me, I live under witness protection now. in a state I won't name, working at a survivor advocacy center. My old identity, my old life, my old family, all of it is gone. And honestly, I've never been happier. I still have nightmares sometimes. I still wake up hearing my uncle's voice, feeling my father's hands around my throat. But then, I remember those 41 kids who are free, because I spoke up. I remember that my family's criminal empire is destroyed. I remember that justice was served. You know what I learned from all of this? Evil thrives when good people stay silent. For too many years, I stayed silent because I was scared, because they were family, because I didn't think anyone would believe me. But silence doesn't protect you. It protects them. If you're in a situation where you know something wrong is happening, where you see injustice and think you're powerless to stop it, you're not. You have more power than you think. Sometimes, all it takes is one person willing to speak the truth, one person willing to stand up, one person willing to make that phone call. Detective Rivera still checks on me sometimes. Emma, his daughter who I saved all those years ago, just started high school. She sends me pictures from her soccer games and tells me about her friends and her dreams for the future. That little girl I saved from being kidnapped grew up to have a normal, happy, safe life. And I played a part in that. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I had just stayed quiet that night at my brother's party. If I had let my father drag me out and never spoken up about what I knew, how many more kids would have disappeared into the Chen Foundation system? How many more lives would have been destroyed? But I didn't stay quiet, and that made all the difference. Thank you for watching this story. If it inspired you to speak up about injustice in your own life, or if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share this video. Subscribe for more true stories of justice and survival. And comment below. I want to know where my viewers are from, and what this story meant to you.